Beneath the ice, beneath the pine, an older rhythm keeps the time. Drumming the earth, breath in the stone. This northern land is not alone. From tundra bare to cedar line, from prairie gold to granite spine, where northern lights in silence bend and winter never meets its end.
Every culture has its boogeyman. The one parents whisper about when children refuse to listen. Maybe he's hiding under your bed. Maybe he's waiting in the closet. Or maybe he's just a stranger walking the roads at dusk, searching for children who stayed out too late. The summer air is warm, but the light is fading fast. You and your friends have spent the entire evening playing near the edge of the village. Someone suggests one last game of hide and seek, just one more. Fireflies flicker through the tall grass, and the church bells will be ringing 7 any minute now. You know you're supposed to be home soon, the others do too, but you're having too much fun to care. You lean against the rough bark of a tree and close your eyes to count. By the time you reach 20, the field has gone quiet. It's time to start looking. The first few are easy to find. One was behind a woodpile. Another crouched beside a fence. A third hid beneath an old wagon. Everyone laughs as they're discovered. In no time at all, you've now caught 5. But there's still one boy left. You call out his name, but there's no answer. The others now join in, shouting into the darkness. But the only response is the distant hum of insects. Something is wrong. It feels off. This boy has never been out this long before. The church bells begin to ring behind you, their sound rolling across the village. Everyone grows quiet. You keep searching, but the field seems larger than it did moments ago. Out of the corner of your eye, you see movement near the edge of the forest. A figure is standing there, completely still. You let out a breath of relief and call out to say the game is over. But the person doesn't respond. As you get closer, you realize this isn't the boy. The figure is too tall, wearing a heavy coat and a wide-brimmed hat, watching all of you intently. The evening breeze disappears. Your friends stop moving. Nobody says a word. The man slowly tilts his head. Then you hear it. A dragging sound, and his heavy boots scraping across the dirt as he takes one step forward, then another towards all of you. A large sack is then thrown over his shoulder. The church bells stop. In a quick movement, the man reaches into his coat, and he throws something towards you all. You squeeze your eyes shut, but it's already too late. A cloud of sand bursts through the air. Everyone screams. The sand burns. Your eyes sting. Tears blur your vision as you desperately try to see, to breathe, to understand what's just happened. You run anyway. Branches whip against your arms. Your feet pound against the dirt. You don't dare look back. When you finally reach the village, gasping for breath, you turn around. The man is gone. The others gather around you, pale and shaking. Everyone is there, except for one. The boy is never seen or heard from ever again. Le Bonhomme Sept-Heures is one of the most recognizable figures in French-Canadian folklore. Unlike other legendary cryptids that people use to explain strange sounds in the night, his purpose was surprisingly practical. He was a warning. For generations, parents and grandparents told children that if they were still outside when the clock struck 7 p.m., Le Bonhomme Sept-Heures would come looking for them. The threat might sound dramatic, but it reflected a very different reality. In the rural French communities of Canada, children often lived alongside genuine dangers. Dense forests stretched for miles beyond the edge of a village. Rivers could be swift and unforgiving. Harsh winters arrived with very little warning. And a child who wandered too far from home could quickly find themselves in serious trouble. In a world without streetlights, cell phones, or modern emergency services, staying close to home after dark was all about safety. And so, like many cautionary figures found throughout folklore, Le Bonhomme Sept-Heures became a memorable way to teach an important lesson. But while the story remained consistent, the character himself was anything but. In many versions, he appears as an elderly man, dressed in heavy clothing, and his shoulders bent beneath the weight of a large sack. The contents of that sack are rarely described in detail, but the implication's pretty clear. It's already filled with children who ignored the warnings and stayed out too late. Other stories portray him as something far more unsettling. Rather than simply grabbing children who wander alone, he carried a pouch of sand. As he approaches, he throws the sand into their eyes, blinding and disorienting them long enough to kidnap them. Some storytellers even claim this was why children grew sleepy at night, and led to him overlapping with the Sandman. If your eyes felt heavy at sunset, the Bonhomme Sept-Heures was already nearby. The details always shifted from family to family and village to village. Some children were told he wandered lonely country roads after dusk, and others heard that he peered through windows at night, waiting to see who was still awake. He was said to travel silently in most retellings, but children claimed they could hear the creaking of his boots or the rustling of his sack long before he appeared. One of the more fascinating aspects of the legend is actually the mystery surrounding his name. Most people assume Sept-Heures simply refers to 7 o'clock, the time children were either expected to be home or young ones in bed. Although some suggest another possible explanation. The name might have evolved from the French phrase "bone setter," referring to traveling healers who moved from town to town. Over time, the unfamiliar English phrase may have been transformed through oral storytelling into Sept-Heures. It's obviously not confirmed, but it just highlights how folklore constantly changes as stories pass between cultures and generations. The legend itself likely arrived in Canada when the French settlers did. They carried their own European boogeyman traditions. Across Europe, countless stories warn children about mysterious figures who punished disobedience or lured the unwary away from safety. Once these stories reached Canada, however, they obviously adapted to their new surroundings. The forests were different, the dangers were different, and the communities telling the stories were different. Over time, the old world boogeyman evolved into something distinctly French-Canadian. Today, Le Bonhomme Sept-Heures can still be found throughout Francophone communities across Canada. Stories persist in Acadian regions of New Brunswick, parts of Ontario, and other French-speaking communities. But nowhere has the legend remained more deeply rooted than in Quebec. There, generations of families have continued to pass the tale along, ensuring that even in the age of smartphones and social media, children still hear about the old man who kidnaps after 7 o'clock. Whether he was ever intended to be a monster, a ghost, or simply just a memorable warning is kind of difficult to say. What's obviously clear is that his story survived because it served a purpose. It entertained, it frightened, and it also educated all at once. Not because people truly believe this old man is wandering the countryside with a sack slung over his shoulder, but because it reminds us of something deeper. Folklore is memory. It's culture. It's a community preserving its values through storytelling. So if you ever find yourself on a quiet country road in rural Quebec, and the evening church bells begin striking 7. You might find yourself remembering an old morning that's echoed across generations. But just in case, it might be worth heading home. Next Wednesday, we're taking an outsider's look into Nunavut for a guest episode filled with our classic true or false questions and some interesting facts you may or may not have known. Every 4th episode, as you guys know, we chat about a province or territory, and it's a very different vibe from our usual episodes. But that's kind of exactly what makes it fun, so we'll see you there. This has been What Lurks North. Stay safe out there.
Beneath the ice, beneath the pine, we walk their ground.